The Fallout show finally released, and most of the internet is in agreement that it was really good. I personally, as a big Fallout fan, loved the show. I only had a couple of small problems with it, one of them being that Shady Sands got nuked. I didn't like that because I really liked that in Fallout 1, 2, and New Vegas we kind of saw this progression of the NCR going from a small settlement in Shady Sands to like this actual big country. With them being nuked, this means that even if we get another game set on the West Coast, the NCR probably won't play a big role at all. And I also don't like the way they portrayed Mr. House. Besides that, I liked everything about the show. The show on its own is really good. I did see some people say that the show makes New Vegas non-canon. Even if you Google that, it comes up that the show makes New Vegas non-canon. This is actually not true. It's been rectified by Todd Howard that the bombs dropped on Shady Sands after the events of New Vegas, indicated by this arrow here. Anyway, someone who really did not like the show was SyntheticMan. Not surprising, because SyntheticMan literally doesn't like anything modern. All modern games are shit, if you ask SyntheticMan. He also hates everything that he deems to be woke, which is just when a female character or a black character appears in any media. And the funny thing is, I already made a video about SyntheticMan reacting to the initial Fallout trailer, where he constantly complained about them not understanding Fallout lore, while he himself, in the entire video, constantly got Fallout lore wrong. He doesn't understand Fallout, he knows nothing about the lore, which I found hilarious. But anyway, he has now reviewed only the first episode of this show, and we're gonna watch it together. I'm sure it's going to be a good time, and he's going to have great takes.
Has finally released. And who am I kidding? We all knew this would be bad. Is anyone surprised? I mean, a single person. I made a video just reacting to the first trailer and knew this would be an absolute butchering.
I just quickly want to mention again that during that reaction to the trailer, he constantly cited the lore as a reason why this new show was going to suck, while constantly getting the lore wrong and totally misunderstanding Fallout.
And why is that? Well, not just because it's Amazon, and we all know from Rings of Power and various other shows they made that they really don't care about the source material of any series, franchise, no matter how beloved. I mean, if they didn't care about Lord of the Rings, they sure as hell were not going to care about Fallout.
And I just love this. Says that Amazon sucks at making adaptations because they made Rings of Power and quote-unquote various others, but doesn't mention any others besides Rings of Power, and also completely fails to mention that Amazon also adapted The Boys and Invincible into two shows that are very much so beloved by a lot of people, especially The Boys. Amazon has made amazing adaptations of source material. They've also made shit adaptations like Rings of Power, you're right, but that doesn't mean that those great adaptations like The Boys and Invincible don't exist.
Now, for the sake of maintaining relevancy, I'm only going to review the first episode in this video, and I'll review the whole season next week.
Yeah, that's great. That's great for relevancy's sake. You know, you'll get more views right now. It also means that you're gonna get a lot of shit wrong in this video because you only watched the first episode. Now you're going to complain about shit in the first episode that gets explained later on in the series. He does this with multiple things in this video. I'm not gonna say anything specific now. We'll get to it when we'll get to it.
So episode 1 begins in 2077, right before the bombs drop. We see Walton Goggins playing one of the main characters, the Ghoul. Yes, they literally call him the Ghoul when there are thousands of ghouls at minimum in the Fallout universe. He is the Ghoul.
And there we go. Already you have a problem with the show that if you just watched the rest of the episodes, you would have realized that it already had been explained. Or not really explained. They don't even refer to him as the Ghoul. Right? Most people either don't know his name, so they don't refer to him as anything, or they refer to him by his name. I think one guy who already knew him previously, by the way, calls him the Ghoul. I know that like the title card in the first episode introducing him says the Ghoul, but that's not what they call him throughout most of the show. So your criticism of it is pretty fucking pointless.
And now he just does birthday parties for alimony payments. And I find this even more funny because his kid is mixed race. So his black wife divorced him, and now he plays fucking birthday parties. How black-pilling is that? And at the risk of getting a shit ton of dislikes from normies, just like my review of the first episode of The Last of Us, I find this even more funny because if you know anything about marriage statistics, you would know that white male, black female actually has the lowest divorce rates.
Oh my god, I love me some racism early on in the SyntheticMan video. It exposes him for the piece of shit that he is. I don't know how a mixed race couple with a mixed race kid getting divorced is blackpilling. I don't know how it's blackpilling. I don't care. I also don't care about your fucking statistic of like, oh well, white man, black woman is actually the least divorced group or whatever the fuck. Who gives a shit, dude? This is fiction. They still get divorced, right? And if bringing up statistics is something that you like to do now, I'd like to point out that only 60% of people living in the United States of America are white. So other ethnic groups being heavily represented actually makes a lot of sense. So how about you think about that one? How about you think about that one the next time you complain about a black person being a main character in a show, which you're about to do within the next like 5 minutes, by the way.
So in a way, you could almost say this is anti-propaganda, but I still think it's promoting race mixing, as basically every show on television does.
Excuse me, what the fuck? So I'm not that surprised that my guy is being racist, right? Because SyntheticMan is racist in almost every single one of his videos. It's honestly the norm. But how the fuck are we less than 3 minutes into the video and my guy's already complaining about race mixing propaganda? Which is just a white guy had a child with a black woman. I don't know if you knew this, SyntheticMan, but like white people and black people can fall in love and have children. It happens quite a lot.
You know, for as woke as video games are these days, TV and movies blow the gaming industry out of the water. Basically, every streaming show I've tried to watch with my mother has had some form of propaganda in it, and usually multiple types, whether it's race-related, gender-related, LGBT-related, it's usually all of the above.
You watch these shows with your mom, dude, that makes way too much sense. I mean, you are a 29-year-old still living in your mom's basement, overweight, pale, greasy, receding hairline. You know, it makes a lot of sense that there's no one else you really get to hang out with. I mean, I'm sorry, usually I'm not the type of person to make fun of someone's physical appearance, but I don't really give a shit when it comes to, you know, racists.
To give you an idea what the retro future culture of 2077 looks like, but if a modern Marxist rewrote history and added diversity everywhere. Now, it's not like in the original Fallout games, all the characters were white, but there's something uncanny about this whole thing. We'll put it at that. I'm not going to make a huge deal over it.
You already did, though. I'm not going to comment on it anymore, because don't see the point. I already made my point, right? The guy is racist. I just want to say again, there's nothing uncanny about it. 40% of your country is non-white and of other ethnicities. It makes sense for them to be represented in a futuristic, like, story setting, whatever.
And Walton Goggins rides off on a horse with his daughter on the back, as if you could fucking outrun a nuke. They literally just told us in the previous scene the safe distance is the size of a thumb. I think that explosion might be a little bit bigger than that. I know they did this to have a really dramatic scene, but it just comes across incredibly idiotic, especially since 3 more nukes drop, one which is within a mile of the house.
Yeah, guys, it's just really idiotic. If a nuclear bomb dropped next to SyntheticMan, you wouldn't even flinch, man. He's too alpha for that shit. What do you expect them to do, my guy? I know he says, like, in the show, don't bother running if the cloud is bigger than your thumb, but we all know that human beings, regardless of how big the danger is, regardless if they know they're gonna survive or not, will do anything to try and survive. It makes a lot of sense for them to run away from the nuclear bomb. It doesn't matter where it dropped or how close it is to them. They're gonna run. It's not idiotic. It's fucking basic survival instincts, retard.
So now we meet our true protagonist, Lucy, a resident of Vault 33, which I guess was another control vault. Either that or it's some kind of multi-vault experiment. as they fail to adequately explain in the show. Vault 31, 32, and 33 are all directly connected.
Do you expect episode 1 to just immediately explain every single detail about the world that we're in right now? Because that would make no sense. They just have to exposition dump for the entire fucking episode. It's made very clear that these are 3 vaults that are connected to each other, not only through the fucking episode itself, where we see that the vaults are connected to each other, but also through posters in the background that are like focused on for a couple of seconds by the camera. Right? I understand that some people who might not be, familiar with the Fallout universe might not understand why it's weird that these 3 vaults are connected, but throughout the show we find out that it's not normal, and it's actually a pretty big part of the show what is happening at these vaults.
To each other. And so Lucy is applying for an arranged marriage with one of the other vaults. They show off all of her various skills. And of course, she just so happens to be good at basically everything. Definitely not a Mary Sue, guys.
Yay, we used the word Mary Sue, which is something this guy doesn't even know what it means. Mary Sue is essentially a character, a female character, who is perfect in every single way, succeeds at every single thing she tries, and despite the fact that she's an annoying bitch, everybody seems to love her. That is not at all what this character is. This character is flawed, makes mistakes, doesn't always succeed, is likable, and people like her because she's likable. And some people even don't fucking like her, right? Those are all traits that a Miss Mary Sue does not possess. Also, they show that she's good at some things. She's good at shooting and like at martial arts, mainly because she's been in a vault her entire fucking life and she's had literally nothing else to do.
So Vault 33 meet up with the members of Vault 32, and we find out her soon-to-be husband is actually a white guy and not ugly. Shocking. But don't worry, they ruined that pretty shortly.
Apparently this is a good thing, guys. It's a good thing that she married a good-looking white man. If she married a black guy, it would have been propaganda. But remember, SyntheticMan is definitely not a racist, guys.
And even more based, as soon as they get back to her room, Monty strips naked and they just straight up have sex. So I guess one good thing came out of this show.
So what's the good thing then? A sex scene between 2 white people? Or between a man and a woman? Is that a good thing? I remember when The Last of Us had a gay sex scene and SyntheticMan lost his fucking mind over the idea that 2 men could have sex with each other. Like, I get it, by the way. The Last of Us gay sex scene was completely unnecessary and way too long, while this one is actually relevant to the plot kinda, and is very short. So there is a difference there. But I don't think that matters to SyntheticMan. If this sex scene between a man and a woman had been very long, stretched out and unnecessary, he wouldn't have complained. But if the gay sex scene would have just been implied only, he would have still fucking complained about it. Remember guys, SyntheticMan is not racist and not homophobic.
But of course, everything goes to shit as the big schnoz little brother soon discovers one of the members of Vault 32 is dead and rotting. And it turns out raiders somehow got into Vault 32, killed everyone, and Lucy gets stabbed, but she manages to save herself in the most cliche Hollywood way possible by smashing a glass on his head and then like slicing his face. She heals herself with a stim pack and then heads into the armory and grabs a fucking trank gun. I guess all the real guns were already gone.
No, that is not the reason why she grabs a trank gun. It's not because all the real guns were already gone. Even later on in the show, when she goes out of the vault and has her pick out of basically any weapon she wants that is in the vault, she still picks the trank gun. It's because she doesn't believe in killing people. Because she was raised in a vault based upon very naive morals for the world she lives in. She believes killing is bad under any circumstance, which is why she grabs a trank gun and not a gun that is actually lethal.
And she witnesses a bunch of her friends get horrifically murdered, men just getting the absolute shit beat out of them. The only competent males at all are the raiders. but her pregnant best friend, after getting stabbed in the eye with a fork, gets a hold of an SMG and starts mowing down raiders. Wow! My god, it's Wolfenstein 2 all over again.
Guys, a pregnant lady defended herself with a gun instead of just giving in to this raider men and dying. We all know women are incapable of defending themselves and should just die. What are you on about? All these men are the only competent men are the raider men. It's like, dude, the lady has a gun. The other guys that were getting murdered didn't, and were also raised in a vault. Which, spoiler alert, the lady that got stabbed in the eye was not raised in a vault and was actually raised in pre-war America and probably had some training. So, I don't fucking know. It's so fucking dumb. It's such a dumb fucking complaint. All the men should be badasses and be defending themselves and fighting while the women just cower in corners. Yeah, sure, mate. I don't know if it's not the 1950s anymore. Sexism is kind of not, it's not cool anymore, guy. It's kind of cringe, to be honest.
Again, this is the cringiest shit ever, seeing pregnant women be badass. I fucking hate this propaganda. It is so transparent. Whatever, moving on. Lucy's husband turns out to still be alive and almost kills her, but her dad manages to save her, being the only competent male in the show, and Lucy gets to see how brutal he is, which I'm pretty sure is implying that he's been to the surface before. But all of the survivors manage to get captured anyway. We see that the Latina overseer is the real villain of the show. Yes, this middle-aged brown woman is supposed to be this mega badass evil raider we're supposed to be intimidated by. Modern media is such a joke.
Yeah, guys, because we can only be intimidated by men, I guess, okay? If women are evil or intimidating in a show, it's clearly just propaganda. They can't be intimidating. They're not men. That's not sexist to think. I think this is extra funny because I think SyntheticMan is someone who is probably very intimidated by women, because I can't imagine him ever having talked to one in real life before, you know what I mean?
Alright, now we get to meet our final main character, Maximus. And it's another pussy-ass black guy. You know, it's one thing that every single TV show, movie, and now video game has a diverse cast, but do you have to have every black man be a fucking pussy in modern media?
I'm sorry, but exactly how does he come off as a pussy, right? Because I've seen the whole show, and he's pretty courageous in the rest of the show. I can't recall if in the first episode he's particularly, like, pussy-like, or whatever the fuck. I guess he gets his ass beat, and then he gets suspected of hurting his friend, which he didn't do. But besides that, I don't think he shows any behavior of being a pussy, right?
And yeah, so he gets hazed by all the other Brotherhood of Steel initiates, and he gets saved by a trans man. I'm not joking, dude. There's probably going to be some coping and seething, but no, that is not a tomboy. That is not a masculine female. No, that is a woman who identifies as a man. You know it to be true.
No, I don't know that, because they don't say anything about it in the show. The only thing they do is that this character, which is called Dane, they refer to the character as they once, which I'm guessing means that the character is supposed to be non-binary, and if you have a problem with that, I mean, the character is only on screen for a full 30 fucking seconds, I guess, throughout the entire show, so don't be too worried about it, just ignore it, I guess.
Another Pridwin shows up. Maybe it's the same Pridwin from Fallout 4. I don't know. They don't confirm or deny in this episode.
Yeah, but if you knew the lore, you would know that it's not the same ship.
Back at Vault 33, Lucy tries to get the council to send out a search party for her dad, but the fat black soy jack on the council is too chicken shit, as is the rest of them. And so Lucy teams up with Big Schnoz in Sweet Home Alabama to leave the vault themselves. Of course, her brother, being a massive pussy, won't go with her. Her cousin actually wants to, but she knows he's incredibly incompetent and also a coward, so she tranks him and leaves the vault by herself.
I just quickly want to point out that he constantly rips or makes fun of the male characters in the vault, like them being cowards. It's like, oh, they're cowards, they're pussies, right? This is not what real men should be, or whatever the fuck, right? They're not competent men according to him. That's actually part of the story in the show. It's said multiple times by the vault dwellers that they are cowards because they've been sheltered their whole lives in the vaults, and that's why they don't have the balls to fucking do anything. So this isn't propaganda or whatever. This is actually part of the fucking plot.
Now this is where the show jumps the shark. We find out that Vault 33 is located next to Venice Beach in the heart of the Boneyard. Now, if you know anything about Fallout lore, you would know that the NCR dominated this territory, brought civilization back to it. There is no way in hell that Vault 33 was not contacted over the course of 100 years. And of course, to address the elephant in the room, LA itself is a massive wasteland, like a featureless desert. What happened to the NCR?
Wow, it's almost like this is something that's explained later on in the show if you actually fucking watch the rest of it. NCR got nuked and now no longer really exists. It's barely alive at this point. Now, I agree that Vault 33 never having been contacted is kind of weird. Not really by the NCR, but the fact that the fucking master never attacked a vault that is this obviously located is kind of weird to me. The NCR not contacting it though, that it kind of makes sense. I guess maybe they didn't want to forcibly break open a vault with overseers that denied them access. Because the overseers of Vault 31, 32, and 33 would have never let them in if you knew the rest of the plot of the show. And also SyntheticMan in this video and also in his previous video, in which he examines the trailer for the Fallout show, really likes to pretend that the Boneyard was like some fucking giant city completely rebuilt by the NCR, while in reality, in lore, only a small part of LA was actually resettled by a couple, 10 to 20,000 people, right? Like the center obviously got nuked. Lots of it is still affected by radiation, let's be honest.
Well, at the time of me recording this, I was spoiled of future episodes. And apparently Shady Sands got nuked 4 years before the events of Fallout New Vegas.
Yeah, so I'm gonna skip his rant about this because it's already been cleared up that this didn't happen, right? Shady Sands got nuked after the events of New Vegas, and New Vegas is still canon. I understand why SyntheticMan thought that they got nuked before the events of New Vegas. A lot of people thought that, so I'm not gonna give him too much shit for it. But I'm just gonna skip ahead to the part where he stops ranting about it.
Next scene, we get back to Maximus, and he cries like a little baby bitch as the scribe interrogates him, accusing him of something he didn't do, and he makes almost no effort to defend himself. Eventually, he works up the courage to speak and just says he would gladly give his life for the Brotherhood, and the scribe rewards him by promoting him to squire, taking the she-man's place. Then we get a scene where the she-man doesn't blame him because she knows he would never do it because, again, he's a little bitch boy who would never do anything wrong. What a great protagonist.
Hey guys, he's a little bitch boy because he cried when he was threatened with his life. Like, that's literally what would have happened, right? If he... My guy was being seriously interrogated and threatened. But I guess it's bad to cry, because men don't cry, guys. Real men don't cry. Real men spend their lives living in their mom's basements complaining about video games. That's what real men do.
And now we get another massive retcon. Apparently the Enclave is still around. Yup. Even though we see the last of their remnants in New Vegas, which are a bunch of fucking senile boomers, 15 years later, the Enclave is back with a vengeance.
Yeah, here we go, citing the lore again, and again, you are wrong. the remnants in Fallout New Vegas aren't the only remnants of the Enclave. While the Enclave has been mostly destroyed because of the events of Fallout 2 and 3, there are still remnants of them around, like we see in New Vegas. There are also other remnants. I mean, you know, if we saw them as them being like this big fucking giant faction, this massive force in the wasteland, yeah, that would have been a retcon. But we don't. We just see one scientific facility, and that's it.
Maximus is tasked with finding one of their runaways who I guess is hanging with dog meat. And for the final scene of the episode, we wrap back around to Walton Goggins as we see a few mercenaries dig up his corpse. Oh god, here we go again. Pete Hines has been vindicated. For those of you who don't know, there is a unmarked...
I'm just gonna cut him off right there. He seems to do this a lot, right? In this video, he does it quite a few times. And in his original like review of the trailer, he does it quite a few times, where he will randomly go on a rant about something that the Fallout community has been done talking about for like 10 years, right? It really seems like SyntheticMan just watched these very popular videos on YouTube critiquing Bethesda's Fallout specifically, and then based his entire opinion on the franchise off of those videos before even playing the games, right? Because why else does he randomly now go on a fucking 5-minute rant about the ghoul boy in the fridge and ghouls not needing to eat or drink because of that, which is a massive retcon, right? That is a problem within lore that Bethesda fucked up. But the Fallout community has been done talking about that for like 5 to 6 years, dude. Why bring it up now? Why bring it up now unless you've only recently seen videos talking about that and you've based your entire opinion of the franchise off of those videos? Anyway, boys, I think I'm ending the video here. I cut out quite a few things, quite a few random rants that didn't really make any sense for me to include. I might respond to SyntheticMan again once he uploads his full review of the entire series, depends on how long that is. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye. Like, subscribe.